So we got slept near now, right? So when Thor... Before I'm in this review of chapter 44 of Fortune the Apocalypse, please do me a favor, leave your own list on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come with the channel. Now, let's get into it. What's up, guys? I got a pencil here, and here we are to review chapter 44 of Four Nights of the Apocalypse, which is known as The Lost Children, which is honestly like the most accurate name that we've had so far. Because they are all children, and they're lost. Except for, that's the thing with not knowing what sin is, and he's probably lying every other second. Like, are you a child, Sin? Are you Lancelot? Are you still 16, my boy? Or are you something else? I don't know. But regardless, pretty accurate. Let's hop into the chapter itself. So we open up, and we get to see that Percival, he is currently, like, fixing up Donnie and himself. Wither from that boy Elgin, it did some damage. It did some numbers to their bodies. And thusly, all the little mini Percival was just like, heal, 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 heal. And I kind of wonder, like, the way that the little Percivals are, like, hanging on and kind of, like, fading into it. Are they destroying themselves in order to heal them? Like, is there magic power which makes up their forms? Like, is that just straight going into them and just disappearing? Like, are they dying? I know this is kind of a morbid question, but, like, how else would it happen? Like, I doubt they have their own little magic reservoirs. If they do, they probably run out because they're made of magic. Kind of ominous, but hey, whatever it takes. And then we get to see that Donnie, my boy, asked some very good questions in Nasiens. He's like, hold on a second, my boy. If you had that kind of medicine on you this entire time, why didn't you not tell us? Why didn't you buff us? You're the support, my boy. Well, he's really not the support. Let's be real. Nasiens is the carry, but you're the support. Why wouldn't you tell us that? And, like, you know, maybe buff us all up if we have to fight these random magic knights. And Nasiens was like, well, actually, hate to tell y'all, I have poison magic. I am immune to most poisons, meaning that if the backdraw or the repercussion of one of these things is death, if y'all had consumed it without me knowing, you'll just die. I may take some whiplash, I may take some backlash from it, but I probably won't die. And obviously, I need to test something before I use it on you. So I'm not just going to randomly hit y'all with this random new horn I never had before, and I didn't know anything about it. So that was explicitly me testing it. And if it didn't work, we'd all be dead. That's the only thing. Like, when Nasiens says this, I was like, I get what he's talking about, right? Because obviously, he doesn't want to, like, risk their lives. But Nasiens, you didn't know what it did at all? Like, you didn't know any of the drawbacks? Like, what if you had died? Like, sure, you would have had a really cool moment. What if the drawback was literally just perish? What would they have done without you? Like, not gonna lie, now, you are pivotal. You have been hard. Like, if we skipped over Echo Gorge somehow, our characters wouldn't be here right now. We wouldn't even have met Anne. I think the cast would probably be dead at this point. So, I don't know, Nasiens. You can't be risking your own life like that. And we get to see the after effects are just extreme fatigue, because since it essentially amps your body's, like, power, durability, it amps all your stats, but it'll instantly, like, drain you. It's almost like an adrenaline rush, where in the moment you're pretty much unstoppable, you feel unstoppable, and you're performing way greater feats of strength than you ever did before. However, at the same time, your body is kind of just, after the fact, like, oh, wow, we broke 5 bones, and we don't have teeth anymore. Whoop, shouldn't have lifted that car. And I think that's a nice power balance drawback, because obviously, since we know Nasiens can just produce any poison or medicine that he intakes, if he could just randomly just start going around throwing out Serenus horn buffs without any, like, debuff, that'd kind of be bad for narrative balance. Even if, like, our characters literally need the Serenus horn to even keep up with certain characters, like, just being able to freely have that buff wouldn't be fair to the narrative. However, though, like, Nasiens goes on to say that he's like, oh, nah, I need to test it on myself. But why don't you, like, counterbalance it with the poison you made back in Echo Gorge? Because that poison didn't seem to have any sort of, like, real drawbacks, and it seemed to restore fatigue and stamina and stuff like that. That's why I brought the forest back to life and even gave Percival extra energy. So, like, as a counterbalance, why don't you just cast that on yourself? Since we know you can... Oh, maybe he can't... No, I think he can consume his own poisons. It may not be as effective, but I think he can consume them. So, I don't know. If I was Nasiens in the scenario, I'd just be like, ooh, whoops. Flip that and just negate the, like, it doesn't have to restore him to the same point that he was with the Serenus buff. And who knows, maybe there could be like a cooldown timer in between. And that's what was being implied here. Like, Nasiens can't just intake a poison, instantly create another poison, because if so, once again, be unfair to the narrative. But right now, I don't think Nagaba gives a solid enough reason why Nasiens doesn't just use the poison we already know he has to completely negate the stamina debuff and this fatigue if he was going to include such a thing there. Like, that's a pretty pivotal little bit of juice that could be very useful right now. And we get to see that Percival was like, yo, wait a minute. Wait, if you were looking to test things, I thought I was your guy. Come on, like, we had a contract. I was the guinea pig. Why would you do this to yourself? Nasiens, you're our best boy. We can't let you do this like that. And I was just like, yo, chill out, homeboy. You know, I was just playing my boy. I just want to roll with you. I'm the guinea pig. It was a figure of speech, my man. And I like how it shows that Nasiens still cares, right? Like, he may have been a little bit ominous in his intro. I may have called him a bad guy, you know, may have assumed he was the son of someone or someone else, you know what I'm saying? I may have done all that. But at the end of all things, he still is a nice kid. And thusly, he's not going to risk his friends' lives like that. Especially someone like Percival, one of the first friends he probably ever had outside of, like, Dolores that was his age. So, shout out to Nasiens. Then we get to see Sin ask a very important question of what is that? And we get to see that Percival, on his MC energy, has decided to save the villain. Percival, did you try to save Talisker? That man's dead. Did you try to save Ironside? That man's probably going to die. Like, I mean, to be fair, it's not like this is out of character, because I don't think Percival intentionally ever went for, like, oh, I'm going to slaughter you and everything you care for. Like, he never went on, like, that sort of bloodlusted rampage. But why, when you yourself are damaged, and this dude was definitely trying to kill you, why would you try and save him? When you haven't, like, it's weird to say, like, he hasn't shown this tendency before, but he hasn't shown anything necessarily against this tendency. So it's like, I don't know how to feel about this. I hope, like, there's one of two ways this could go, and either one I'd be fine with. Either A, this just bites Percival in the butt, and, like, Elgin comes back and is like, yo, cricks out his shoulders, like, yeah, y'all defeated me the first time. My fault, underestimated y'all. I see the poison dudes out, though, so bada bing, bada boom, wither. And he just, I don't know, stabs them, and bada bing, bada boom, they're dead. Or it works out to where Elgin, out of just respect for, you know, to save, he's like, fine, I'll let y'all go this once, and I'll save y'all from Fiddler, or Fiddich, because he seems to be the main threat. I even think the two knights we see at the end of this chapter, they probably aren't going to be much of a problem. They're probably just going to be like a Donnie, Anne, and Sin trio issue. They're probably going to be taken care of by them, and that'll be it. Or something to do with Sleipnir. But, yeah, I think Fiddich is really going to be our, like, it's weird to say endgame boss. I wouldn't say endgame boss, but at least for this group, I think he'll be the one that's going to be doing, like, the final stand that Elgin, being saved by Percival, may have to step into and stop. And that may end up in his death, because we know when Arthur's knights decide to go against their leader, good things don't happen to them. hard, dead. But that's it. And we get to see that, yeah, I don't know, Percival's saying it's not nice to kill. What happened to Talisker? Ain't that man dead? You did not shed a tear of remorse for that man. He's dead. I mean, they didn't confirm his death, but I don't know, when you get blasted by a gigantic thunderbird, I'm assuming you're dead. But you know what, we'll let this slide. I think this may just be like a lesson for Percival. If Elgin comes and stabs him in the back for this, I hope Percival learns his lesson. Bada bing, bada boom. I hope he gets stabbed out the room. But we'll see. Because notably, while Sin is like, yo, you need to stop being soft, because they're literally trying to kill you and everyone you care about right now. Like, you already lost your grandfather to these people. Do you really think they're going to care about killing your friends? You lost your grandfather to your father. What are these random assassins going to have any mercy or reason to hold back on you? And Percival's just like, you know, we won. We should be good, right? And Sin just, I do get, Sin is very blunt. But I think he's needed for this group, because you can't be indirect with this group of idiots. Except for Nasiens. You can be indirect with him and he'll probably read it. But for the rest of the group, they're kind of dense. So Sin really did have to sit down and tell them, like, yo, we won that fight. because we were underestimated, just like I was hoping we'd be. However, if we let him live and he recovers and he finds out to not underestimate us, we're dead. You saw how he was blitzing y'all casually. And of course, now he knows, just throw Nasiens off the tree branch. And then once Nasiens is gone, y'all are gone. Because I don't think he's going to be willing to give that Ceranos buff to any of y'all anyway. So, hold on. Buckle your seatbelts, kids, because we got to level up in terms of serious and kill these people. And a blunt way to put it, yes, but it's needed. And notably, we get to see that. See, okay. I didn't. On my initial read through of the chapter, not my secondary read through, I didn't realize how hard Percival was pushing this whole no, I don't want to kill, no matter who it is. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go check Talisker. Alright, I'm back from chapter 13. We don't confirm that Talisker's dead, but it's a very high likelihood, Percival. You chopped him up and then dropped a mountain on him. I mean, notably. Have your characters not want to kill. It's a lot easier to build up moral complexities in terms of having your character, especially a young character like Percival. Notably, all of our MCs from the previous series had no qualms about killing. Sure, some people got spared, and, you know, Meliodas was a bit of a softie. But notably, when it got down to brass tacks, Meliodas would kill without hesitation. Diane would kill without hesitation. Pawn would kill without hesitation. Pawn would kill for fun. Ping would kill without hesitation. Escanor would kill without hesitation. Come on now. We had a whole bunch of cold-hearted killers in our last series. So I guess that's the only flip. Like, I gotta remember, I'm dealing with a 16-year-old who's never necessarily dealt with the concept of death until it hit his grandpa, and he's still getting over that. So I'm guessing he doesn't want to inflict that pain on anybody else, and he didn't necessarily get a hard confirm with Talisky, so it's fine. But Percival, if this comes back and bites you in the butt, I'm gonna be on Sin's side. I'm gonna dap up that little fox paw of his and be like, "We told you so." But then we get to see that I love how Sin, like, as much as I don't like him, because he's a mystery box right now, and I don't know. I don't like not having answers about characters, no matter how much I like the characters themselves. I love the language he uses. Like, he literally Percival says, "I don't want to kill anyone, no matter who they are." And Sin's like, "What a mark." Like, an easy lick. Like, Sin knows what he's talking about. That's a weird thing, right? Because, like, back to the whole who Sin is, whether it's Bond, whether it's Lancelot, or it's just some random purgatory beast, whether it's Terrieri or Oslo or something like that. I feel like it doesn't make sense for Lancelot to, like, know this kind of terminology, because he didn't grow up with humans. And obviously, the fairies would be using this terminology. This sounds like something Bond would say. Like, what a mark. Like, Bond would know about stuff like that. Maybe Ro would. And by Ro, I mean Oslo, who was Ro. Like, maybe he would know about that, but I don't think Terrieri would know about that. Like, the idea, the knowing what a mark is, knowing what an easy lick is, sounds like a experienced thief kind of thing. And I don't think the Lady of the Lake would have taught Lancelot how to rob people. But never know. And we get to see, notably, that Elgin, he is to some degree conscious. Like, he's obviously still under the effects of Wither, most likely, but he's still conscious enough to be looking at them and hearing this entire conversation. And then he even says oof when he's thrown down by the Percivals. So I don't know, I'm kind of intrigued. Maybe he'll come back as a good guy or a temporary good guy. Maybe we'll have a whole little Elgin side arc. His power would be useful. Even though that's a weird thing, all right? Like, his power would be useful, but not in our main cast, because Nasien's already typed that into the computer and downloaded it into his database. So, like, in terms of our main cast, Wither wouldn't be useful, but hey, having a backup Wither user it'd be pretty nice. I'm not even gonna lie, it'd be good to have, and it'd be cool to see one of Arthur's knights go through an arc and then, like, stick with it or, like, have to live with that. Unlike Arberg, who, like, the moment he reconciled his arc and got his character closure, his book got closed, essentially. He got left out of life. So it'd be cool to see Elgin go through an arc. At the same time, it would also be cool to see Percival have to go through an arc because he tried to be too nice. Then we get to see that Percival, who notices, I think he even notices Elgin still awake, because he decides to zoom. And he begins flying with his cape magic, or at least, like, his Green Lantern powers based on the flying thing he did all the way back against Ironside. And I know Percival hasn't necessarily gotten any, like, major buffs during or no, like post Ironside, which is like I think chapter 27-ish. So he hasn't gotten any major buffs. But it seems, I'm not sure how long he's been flying though, because it seems like he runs out of power pretty quickly. But then again, he's not in the same adrenaline rush, high magic scenario. So it makes sense why he's able to only fly for a short period of time and gets tired pretty quickly. And then we get to see that even Sin agrees with Nasiens, is like, yo, as cool as this flight is, and you're kind of right, if they can't find us, we're safe. Taking all of us at once while flying, which is something you've only done while under extreme circumstances, isn't necessarily the best course of action. Maybe we should just walk or wait to take out the other three like we planned. You gotta, and even since like you gotta keep at least a little bit of magic on you, Percival. You are the strongest in the group, at least physically. We're gonna need your help. But then we get to see that Percival tries to argue back with the idea that they'll catch up to them. But of course, we see a little something. We see a little something on Percival's face, a little notice of something else, and that something else causes shivers down Anne's spine, because she senses not one but two magical forces zooming along the block down their way. And it seems like they noticed that Elgin was taken out, meaning his magic power likely dropped sharply enough before starting to recover that they noticed like on the spot, because obviously his magic wouldn't drop like in such a severe manner if he was just suppressing himself. But then we get to see that the two that come to back him up are the guy on the horse and the girl who's also on the horse. And we get to see that this flying horse, his name is Sleipnir, the beloved mount granted to this man by King Arthur. And as I may or may not have mentioned in the intro, this is not Arthurian mythology. Like, not like we skipped a few. Like, I don't even think. Are we on the same continent? Are we on the same? Where did the Vikings come from? Why am I asking where the Vikings came from? I know. I'm asking where the Vikings came. Because this is Norse mythology, if I'm not mistaken. Arthurian. Hold on 1 second. My apologies. So I was thinking of Iceland and Greenland. So technically, it is the same continent. But even still, like Arthurian mythology and Norse mythology are two very different things. So I'm like a little bit excited here. Because, like, if Nakaba really is crossing the bounds, I'm not sure if Serenos is, like, a Norse mythology thing that I just didn't know about. But in terms of mentioning Sleipnir and, like, it being the eight-legged horse, even if we don't get, like, Thor or Odin or any of those types of characters, and this is actually kind of interesting because, you know, Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross has that Ragnarok crossover. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, maybe Nagaba's taking a few bits and pieces. I don't even actually know what happens in that crossover. I just know it exists. But that's actually kind of interesting to know that Nagaba is already doing things mentioning Norse mythology, or at least was like approving. I'm assuming Nagaba has to have some sort of control over Grand Cross. So, like, he probably had to approve the Ragnarok story arc, maybe even design some of the characters. Once again, I had no idea about Grand Cross or what Nagaba's involvement is. But still, the fact that he's mentioning something as like pivotal as Sleipnir, that's a pretty common. You say that to any person who knows even a whiff of mythology, and you'll probably get some sort of response out of them. If he's including anything Norse, that means we could, if not get any of the notable big names from it, like your Lokis, your Odins, your Thors, your Freyas. If we can't get any of those, we could get Mjolnirs, we could get Jormungandrs, we could get Fenrises. Like, there could be a knight that just has a Fenris. That could be a thing. There could be a knight that could summon a Jormungandr. I rock with that. Like Arthur, if you just steal from mythologies, can we hop over to Greek a little bit? Could you summon a Titan or two? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we already got giants. So I'm rocking with this. If Naka was really willing to take this leap, I'm right there on the cliff with them. I'll jump off right after. That'd be great. But then we get to see that Sin knows about this. And I mean, like Nasiens says, you sure know a lot about them. But to be fair, I mean, I mean, you could really infer that though. Like, eight-legged horses that can fly in the sky aren't necessarily normal, and especially not when they can gallop on land, sea, or air. So I feel like you can just tell that's another mythic beast, and it's likely to assume, considering he just said it was granted him by King Arthur, and you guys already know that the guys get magic gear from Arthur, that you've seen the Chaos Stabs before. Like, this isn't really a, oh shit, Sin, you're kind of shady, my boy. How do you know about that? It's more of a, oh, Sin, you point out the obvious. Wonderful. But I'm actually kind of intrigued to see, like, Does it have any special powers, or is it literally just the mobility? Because the mobility is cool and all, and it's a very big horse, so it probably obviously hurts to get hit by this guy. Like, notably, the dude riding Sleipnir is already gigantic. Look at the woman right next to him on Sleipnir, and then look at Sleipnir itself. But obviously, Sleipnir's just got to be gigantic. So maybe just in terms of raw striking strength with those hooves, it's just insane. I'm intrigued. And then we get to see that the lady steps up to do her due, and she just claims that apparently Elgin's bravado was just a known part of his character, because they're like, yeah, figures that Elgin would meet his end because of his bravado. Let's just say, I won't be so foolish. Because Finnish warned them, apparently. It's just that Elgin didn't listen. And we see that I think, it's interesting, because it says leap, but she's still on the horse. She just stands up. So I'm not sure, maybe that leap is supposed to imply Sleipnir just like getting tying to them. Because they do say that Sleipnir's so fast. And then this lady pulls out Staff of the Four Elements. I command thee. And we get to see water, fire, earth, and... Is that lightning? Is that lightning? Water, fire, earth, and... I don't know. I'm not sure what that last one is. Maybe plants? What are the four destructive elements in Seven Deadly Sins? Fire, earth, what? Air, I think. Maybe it's just Avatar. But regardless, she pulls it all out. And we get to see she throws down the wind sickles. And Percival, like, despite being relatively low on magic and already sweating, like, it's crazy how just mobile this man is mid-air. Like, maybe these aren't the most complex maneuvers to some, but he, like, weaves all the way through and around this whole complicated forest in just one, not necessarily casual, but one motion. It's really impressive for him to do, especially while low on magic and probably still recovering from Wither. Because notably, once again, Nasiens, he didn't even like try to use the buff he had all the way back from Echo Gorge. So it's likely that Donnie and Nasiens are not Donnie and Nasiens. Donnie and Percival are still running on lower energy because of the damage they took by Wither. It's likely that Percival's magic only healed the physical wound, but not any of the fatigue. So Percival's likely still operating on not 100%, which makes this even more impressive. And then we get to see that the woman just doesn't even care, and she just manifests a sand wall for Percival to crash into, and they end up bouncing right off of it. And bada bing, bada boom, Percival's out of gas, but he manages to maintain his own little like Percy bubble to the point where when they bounce all the way down the trees and hit the ground, they're all contained within it. Then it pops and they're all down, and we see Sin landed on his feet just fine. Poor, like, as much of a freak as Sylvan is, I still do feel bad for him. He obviously landed on his butt because he has a little bandage on him. And, like, everyone seemed to land pretty awkwardly. Like, Donnie's still out on the ground. But Sin, he seems fine. He's really just looking over and judging them. And notably, we see that Percival is down for the count. Obviously, he just used up all of his magic. It seems like Nasiens is still out of it because he used a Ceranos horn, and this fatigue is really messing with him, and he still hasn't manifested any, like, counterbalance to that drug. And on top of that, it's not like, maybe Donnie's not out of the fight, but right now he's looking in a pretty poor spot, and he doesn't even say anything. He's not even like, he's just breathing heavy. You just see his air bubbles, just, like, he's just breathing his hardest right now. The only person who seems to be in any, like, real fighting condition, is like Anne. And notably, Sin, when he sees Percival rise up and be like, yo, I caught you up in this, I have to do this myself, Sin stays quiet as our big boy walks up. Do we know this guy's name? I don't think so. But homeboy pulls up and is like, yo, Knight of the Apocalypse and his friends, I will take all of your heads. And yeah, he's posted up. He built like Dahlia. It's weird. He has the hair. I know it's probably rude for me to keep like comparing designs, but like he has the gauntlets of a giant. Like he has the armor of a giant. Like remember the gauntlets that Diane had in the beginning of the series before Giltham wrecked them? He has those, like that kind of armor style for his hands and legs and stuff like that, and his chest plate. He has some sort of sword on his back or some sort of weapon, because I see the pommel. He has like the hair length almost of Dahlia, but it's all curly. He has a shape, like, he's a really interesting design. If a little bit basic. He should have gone and got leg day more though, because with how great his bicep gains are looking, he definitely needs a few more leg gains. He kind of looked like a log in the legs. Meanwhile, I guess the lady just decides to stand back. And then, interestingly enough, I wonder if her regeneration thing, where she like healed her chest, is her native magic, and the staff she's wielding is just something she does separately. Like, maybe she's not necessarily supposed to be like a combat mage up front, and that's why she has the staff that pertains specifically to combat. Because meanwhile, every other knight seemed to have like at least some moniker of combat skill outside of their chaos staff. But like, seemingly this lady, she just only has the staff. But hey, that's an interesting point to end the chapter. I really do like it. Was it worth a week break? Yeah, I really like seeing Sleipnir. And I think this chapter, much more, once again, an intermediary chapter that shows a lot about our character. It shows us that Percival is unwilling to kill, even if it's from people who are trying to kill him, which is probably going to either A, be a pivotal plot point that is going to bite him in the butt later, or be his redeeming trait that gets him all of his allies in the first place, almost on like a, it's weird to say, almost like a Goku or Naruto type thing, where he doesn't want to kill his enemies, he more so wants to reform them. Or, oh no, not necessarily or, because those are mainly the two options. Then we have the whole kickback from Nasiens, and we shows possible limitations of his ability and possible limitations of the Serenos amp. Well, not even possible, just actual limitations of the Serenos amp, which proves to us as the reader that, yo, we can't just throw this out willy-nilly. This is very, very important. We know we had let Nasiens have his cool moment, but we can't let him have that every week. There you go. I think it's cool that we get the mention of Sleipnir, just because of how excited I am for other Norse mythology beings and creatures and stuff to pop up in the verse, whether that be to like Mjolnir or other sacred beasts or stuff like that. I'd be very excited to see that. And yeah, I'm excited for the fight that's going to happen, especially since it's going to seem like possibly just maybe Anne and Percival 2v2, which works with me, or even just the Anne 1v1. I would rock with that too, because Anne, you're going to need to catch up. You're lagging behind Percival and Nasiens. Not really Donnie though. Donnie's been backpacking a little bit too. So Anne, let's step that game up. But those are my thoughts. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Zach with a pencil, writing off.